Hey guys, what's up? So I have some that I want to show you guys because I've been getting some requests from some of you guys as to what extensions I use in Visual Studio Code. And before I go into that, before I go into anything, I want to give you guys many things because I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on my previous videos, and I've gotten amazing support by you guys by subscribing to my channel and things like that. And to be honest, this is like kind of a shock that you guys even want to hear me rumble because I don't think I'm that great, but I just share what I have, okay? And I'm sure you guys, some of you guys are watching this are probably way better than I am, but but again, this is how we all learn, right? By sharing from each other. So thanks a lot to those that have already subscribed, and so let's move on. All right. So so about what I wanted to talk about in my extensions. So extensions are always a good thing to have on your IDE. Okay, you should always have a good IDE. God, what's that even mean? I don't know. It's a code editor, basically, right? It's always good to have a good one, okay? And it's always good to have good extensions to help you out, make your job a lot faster. So a lot of people think that if you're a good developer, that you should be able to just grab a piece of paper and a pen and just code on a piece of paper and a pen. I mean, I even had someone in a job interview ask me to do that. I'm like, dude, like, no, like that's crazy. Like, no, I don't. If that's what you expect out of me, then I can see how demanding that job is going to be. I don't think I want to work for anyone like that, because that's not realistic. No one codes like that anymore. No one. It's like knowing math, right? You know math, basic math, right? But if you have a calculator, if you have to calculate the tips at a restaurant, you don't just go in there and start, calculating with a pencil on top of the napkin. And you don't do that, right? What do? You pick up the phone, you calculate 10, 15, 20%, whatever, well, that's probably an easy one. 20% is easy, but you get my point. You do some calculations with the phone whenever you want to do something with the calculator, right? So use the resources that you have with you. So the same thing goes for this kind of stuff. If you have out there some code editors that will make your job easier and extensions that will make your job easier, use it. Heck yeah, we all do. Everyone in the professional world uses resources and technology to make the job easier. So you should do as well. Now, in the front end or client side aspect of development, a lot of us use either Atom or Visual Studio Code, making Visual Studio Code the highest by far, like as the most. I think Sublime is at the very bottom of it, but it's like those three. So it's Visual Studio Code, then there's Atom, and then there's Sublime. I think those are the three top that people use. Don't quote me on that. You can put in the comments which one do you use and why do you like it. So for me, it's Visual Studio Code. Now you guys ask what extensions I use and why I use them. So I prepared a little HTML and CSS file here to show you what they do and what they are, and see them in action, and we'll get to it. All right. Oh, I'm sorry if you see some weird clips and cuts in the video. It's because I recently coughed and I had to edit it out. I normally don't like to edit my videos. I want you to see me struggle and debug, because that's also a normal thing for developers to spend time debugging their own work and typos and things like that. So, and I want you to understand this as a reality, okay? I've seen a lot of developers on YouTube go through the code like so fast. I'm like, come on, that's not realistic, okay? All right, so let's go through this. So yeah, if you do see some cuts, it's because I don't want you to hear me coughing. All right, so I have a little thing here, a little file that I made up here, a little HTML file that doesn't do anything at all, but it just has a couple of stuff here, and just basically stuff that I want to use to help you understand these extensions. So the Visual Studio Code has this side over here where you can see the extensions here, the extensions menu. So if you open that up, and I'm gonna go ahead and open this a little bigger here so we can actually see them. All right, And let's just go ahead and go to start from the top. So again, these are the ones that I use. These are the ones that are helpful for me, but this is not the ones that everyone should have. You probably don't need all of these, and you probably need more of these. If you're looking for more, just basically go over here in the extensions and type what it is that you're looking for. Like say, for example, you're working with React. You put React up there and see what they have up there, that read through them and analyze, look at them and just dig into them a little bit, test them out, and if they work for you, they'll work for you. All right, if you're looking for themes, you can type theme there, and then you'll see a bunch of different themes that you can install and enable, and then you'll be able to see what they look like and whether you like it or whatever. All right, so starting from the top, the Argutec Azure Repos. So this is an application, an extension that is helpful when you're trying to connect your GitHub account to a team server or a team foundation server. Okay, so sometimes you're working with a team foundation version control. Basically is basically a platform where more than one developer is connected to it into the same application, and then that person can pull up a file and do something with it and modify it, and while has it and he's modifying it, you can do anything to that file until that file is done. Then he can push that file in after the changes are done, and then you can go in there and grab the changes and modify your local copy so that it's synced with what's in there in the Azure repos. So that repository is kind of like a common ground for everyone that is working in their local computers at home to link to it, and everybody has the exact copy that is in the middle of it, right? So this helps you organize and log in and connect to that environment. Are you going to need this all the time? It depends on your team, and it depends on what you guys are running. So this is something that I wouldn't say you guys need, not all of you anyway, but if you actually do end up needing a repo, an Azure repo connectivity extension, this will be the right one. Then I have a couple of themes here that you're gonna see. Like you're gonna see this on this Atom one dark theme, and I have another one down here called Cobalt 2 theme official. So these two are here. All these themes do is just basically change the way the code editor looks. Okay, there's nothing to it. It doesn't really do anything for you. It just changes the look. How do you do this? Basically, after you have it installed, after you pick the theme you like and you install it, then you go to your thing here, to your settings, and look for your themes. There you go, color theme, and then you pick the one you like. Let's say, for example, I want to see Cobalt 2, and it changes into that. If this is what you like, keep going. If you don't like that, then you can change it back, just like I did, and come over here, back to my themes again, and put it back to the one that I had, which was what? Oh, Atom. All right, I like this one personally. So you can go ahead and do that as many times as you like. The same thing is going to happen with material icon theme. So what this material icon theme does is that it creates it's an icon theme. Okay, not a theme, it's an icon theme. So like if you see, I can show you files on this one because I don't have a file structure, but I'll show you another one from a different project that I'm working on. This is a React project that I'm working on, and you can see, for example, you can see this little icons here for SAS, and this one for JSON and Docker file, things like that. So you can see some different icons here, CSS icon, JS icons. So these are different icons that don't come naturally with Visual Studio Code, but Visual Studio Code, I think, doesn't even have colored icons. I think they're just black and white. So I don't like that. I want to be able to see this and know exactly which one is a CSS file and which one is a JavaScript file, just by straight up looking at it. Okay, and the best way to do that is by putting an icon theme that colorizes them and gives you a little bit more customized look to each file extension. So yeah, so that's one way to do it. Yeah, so that's all about themes right there that I'm going to talk about. Now we're going to get to the actual ones that you are going to need. So the next one on row here will be auto close tag. So the auto close tag is an amazing extension that everyone should have. So what does the auto close tag does is that basically you're running, for example, you're gonna type up a label and you put something like this, and then as soon as you close it, boom, it closes it again. That is a great thing that it that you know, for this to do for you, because many times I've seen people tell me, oh, something's wrong with my code, something's wrong with my code, I don't know what happened, something's broken, blah blah blah. And the main problem is because they have something like that, and then they have a bunch of stuff inside of a something, or in this case, let's say for example it was a div, right? They have a bunch of stuff inside of a div, but they never closed it. So what happens when that doesn't close is that this div right here leaks into this one, this closing one, which is this one, which is this entire block. So now it leaks into what the title will be like. It creates a mess. So to avoid those situations and making sure that your divs are always closed, for every tag that you open, you have the closing one. So this body right here closes here, this div closes here, this h1 closes in itself here, and this div closes here. So for everything that opens, everything needs to close. So to avoid that, you should have that auto close tag so you don't forget things, so that if you write something like this, it closes in itself, and then you can do whatever you want in it, and it will always be closed. Okay, so go ahead and put the auto close tag in there. Auto import. So the auto import, I can show you this in HTML. This works more in other types of languages like React, for example, or Angular, somewhere where you're going to be doing importing certain components into the component that you're working with. So like in this case, for example, let's say for example I wanted to import this component right here, right? I can either just come over here and just import it, or I could come somewhere in my code and I can type up, I don't know, somewhere down here, I can come in here and type up, you know, title card or whatever. And when I do this, it would, right now it's not gonna do it because it knows already that it exists, that I already imported it. But if I hadn't, it would automatically think, okay, you're trying to import something that you don't have. So don't worry, I found it, I'll import it for you. And what it does is that it adds that import for that component up here at the bottom. Actually, it imports it right here on line 21, and it keeps going back. So it's a great tool to have just in case you're not sure exactly where your imports are coming from, like where that title card it exactly is, and you know, the system will find it for you and will import it. So that's good. All right, so minimize this again. And we're going to the auto rename tag. So the auto rename tag, you just saw me do it just a little bit a while ago. So what happens is sometimes, and I'm gonna do this so you can see what I mean. Sometimes you have a long piece of code that starts on line 28, for example, and it ends up on line 5000. Okay, if without the code, without the auto rename tag, it will be a lot harder to figure out which one you've renamed, so you can find the closing one and rename that one as well. Okay, so this is a great tool because you can now go ahead and, so let's say you don't want a div anymore, you want this to be a article. Now you can do this, and it will find its own closing tag and close it there. So that's great, because imagine if all of this right here was a lot longer, and or what's worse, what if it had more nested code in it, like this? What if you had something like this? I know this is not realistic, but what if you had something like this? It will make it really hard to figure out, okay, which one of these articles is the one that I want to change? Like, which one is it? This one is this one, this one? I mean, I know that the highlighting part is helping, obviously, but I could just basically just rename the one that I want to rename, and look, it renamed it. All right, so it's a great thing to have. Okay, always good. All right, so let's get rid of all this stuff because I don't want to mess you guys up with all this confusion. Let's get rid of that too. And yeah, let's get rid of that too. All right, let's keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. All right, so the next one is going to be better align. So this one, to be honest, I thought it would do something for me, but it's not quite doing it. But this is, I mean, it is, but it's just not as helpful as I thought it would be. But if you like it, go ahead and do it. So basically this is what it does, right? So you have, for example, you have a bunch of variables in here that you're calling in inside of this if extension right here. What it basically does is that it aligns the operators so they're left aligned like this, okay? Or you can have it so that they're left aligned, right aligned, like in this case. Like right now they're right aligned. It depends on how you like. Do you like the values to be aligned, or do you like the operators to be aligned? It depends on what you want to be aligned. Now, how you do this, if you look at the extension itself, it tells you what you need to do. Is basically, and you can see, you see the alignment right here, you see how it's happening, right? So you can decide which way you want to align it, whether you want to align it like that, left align or right align. So you do that by adding this right here, this instruction in your settings. Now, how you find your settings, that's kind of tricky. I always have a hard time trying to find it, but this is how I find it. I go into settings, and then I come down a little bit. Eventually, it'll show up. And there you go. And then until you find this right here, this is edit in settings JSON. So you need to find that settings JSON file right here. And then you go to, where was it? Better align. Yep, you go here and then you copy this. Wait, was it that one? Oh, it was this one. And you copy this, and what does that one do? Alignment indent. Oh, this creates so it indents the entire thing. So there's more that this thing does. It does a little bit more. So feel free to dive into it and see if it helps you. But anyway, you come over here with that after you can see that I already have it in here. I'll show you what it does from scratch. Add a comma and then paste it. Make sure that it is formatted for JSON standards, and you can have two values, and that's it. So now when you do this and you save, Control S, you save that JSON file. Now everything is left aligned. The operator padding is left aligned, and it will be done. So even if you had it like this, when you format the page, when you save it and then you do control format to it, not control format, but highlight and format document, control shift F, whatever, it will basically just move it here. It will probably put it all in one line too, because that's what it does for formatting, but at least it will make it so that it's left aligned now. All right, so that's basically what that does. Not incredibly useful, but it is sometimes. It makes things a little cleaner. Okay. Better comments. So the best way that I can show you this is right here in this CSS file right here. So the better comments basically just shows things, gives you more meaning to the way that you're commenting stuff. So if I want to make a regular comment, then I can just, this is the normal CSS comment right here. This is how a CSS comment looks. Okay. Like, let me separate these so you can see them better. So this is how a normal comment looks. Just forward slash asterisk the comment that you want to type, and then close your comment, right? Well, if you want to give a little bit more meaning to the way you're commenting, you can make it so that you can put an extra asterisk, and then that makes it a, like for example, a success. Like, this is something that finally worked. I don't know, any kind of comment that is like a good comment. This is a very important comment. You put a hashtag. This is a very important comment, or something like, hey, this is broken. Pay attention to this, so that way somebody else can see this. An informational comment is like, hey, I changed the variable name because whatever. I don't know. I'm just coming up with something. And then this is what, and then you put to do if you want to make it something like a comment that is kind of like a reminder to yourself, or something that you need to go back to and add something to it or work on that. Okay, so I find it helpful. It's just like my own personal organization thing, but it's not like a necessary thing that you have to have. Okay. Next thing is going to be this guy here. So this is a React. If you work with React, you will need this. This is a React and Redux React native snippets. So basically what this does is it allows you to create snippets without having to type everything from scratch. So a good example, for example, let's say I want to write a use effect function. but I don't remember exactly the syntax for it. I can type use effect, or I get as close as I can to it. There you go. And then I get this right here that pops up, use effect snippet. All right, so if I click on it, you see how it gave me the construct of a use effect function. It already put all of this on the screen for me so that I don't have to remember exactly how it is supposed to be constructed, how it is supposed to be written. So I know now that here I put, you know, my actual code. This will be my, you know, my unsubscribing to the code that I'm doing or whatever, my callback. And then this will be my dependency of, you know, what it needs to watch for it to work the way it works or whatever, right? But that's my point. So you can see right here, that's what it will go here, and this is what it will go here, and so on and so forth. So if you want anything like that, you want to make sure that you can get React snippets and not have to memorize them by heart, then that will be this is what you would need right here. Okay. So the next one is going to be the ESLint. This is for JavaScript, basically to let you know when you're doing something that is not up to new coding standards. So like if it's an error or a warning, it would tell you, will give you a squiggly line on the bottom, tell you, you know, this is not going to run, this is going to break. It's a great thing to have because you don't want to wait until the very last minute after you already wrote a bunch of code to figure out that it's not going to work and it's going to not compile and break. That's bad. It's a waste of time. So this tells you along the way, like, hey, you're doing something, you need to, you know, pay attention to, you know, things like that. So, all right, moving on to the next one. The next one is going to be format HTML in PHP. So this is basically how you basically, while you're working in a PHP file, how you can format HTML content inside the PHP file. Usually PHP files are not easy to work with in this particular environment without having specific extensions for it. So this allows you to kind of work with HTML inside of PHP and still have all the IntelliSense and all the tips and hints and the lint that I just showed to still work for you. HTML snippets is basically the same thing that you saw me do with React, with that use effect thing, but it's the same thing for HTML. So in this case, it helps you put HTML code on the screen without having to retype everything. So let's say, for example, that if I want to put in some kind of a HTML thing in here, let's say, for example, I want to put a tag, an H1 tag. Instead of writing H1 and then close it and do this, instead of doing that, I can just as simply do this, H1, and then it will be hooked to this emmet, and it would know that I'm talking about an H1, and it would just, all I have to do is put H1 and enter, and it does it all. That's cool. It's even cooler when you can even add classes to it. So like if I put H1 dot title, and then I hit enter, and look, it gave me the entire construct of an H1 with a class title. Okay, I can do IDs as well. So like div that my ID. All right, you can see already what it's going to give you right here. But I hit enter, and there you go. It gave me the construct of a div with an ID in it. So this is pretty sweet, pretty sweet. And it even goes like further. Like if I put image. Look, it gives you different constructs of an image, like a regular image tag or an image tag by source set and things like that, which is pretty cool. So if I click this one, it gives me the source, it gives me the alt, it gives me the source set. You know, if we put in like different sizes in it. So this is pretty sweet. Okay, it basically avoids a lot of coding. Okay, so JavaScript ES6 code snippets. Same thing, but for JavaScript. So in this case, I will do it here. Say, for example, I'm in this side of JavaScript here. And let's say, for example, I want to write a switch statement. I can put switch. And here it is right there. and I can just do that, and it will give me the entire construct of a switch statement, and all I have to do is just keep adding more cases to evaluate. Say let's say I'm evaluating my variable here, and then now here you go, I can just put if it's Louis, then do this. If it's Peter, do this. If it's whatever. I can add as many cases as I want. I'm not gonna teach you how a switch statement works. That's for another class. This is just to show you how the snippet works. Okay, that you can just pull up a bunch of stuff in there. All right, so the Jupyter, I think, yeah, don't pay too much mind to this. I think this is something that I was messing with when I was trying to go over some Python stuff, so don't worry about that. All right, so live server. So the live server is what you would use to serve your own HTML files onto the desktop, onto your browser. So it doesn't really work with PHP. It doesn't work with React. It doesn't work with anything like that that needs a compiler. It works directly with HTML and HTML only. So if I hit here, if you see this go live right here, it's because it's installed and it's enabled, right? As soon as you do that, you will have access to this at the bottom. So I hit go live, and I'll see that there is, okay, open a folder, workspace file, open folder. Oh, because it's not in a folder. All right, well, let's back up a little bit then. Let's make this work. Yeah, let's make this work. Open, and let's go to the folder. I have to be in a folder for this to work, so sorry about that. Okay, loading up the folder. I'm still in the files that I need to be, but now I am inside of a folder, so that's great. I'm gonna close this. It's not necessary to see. All right, good stuff. So now I can go ahead and hit go live, and you can see that it says starting at port 5500. So now if it was in another screen, so I'll bring it over here this way, and there you go, localhost 5500. Here's my thing here, says hi Louis, and my title. The reason why you're seeing that is because I had this alert show up if my name here was Louis, and I have a class here for the title color red. So that's why you're seeing this stuff here, and I did that just to kind of show you that it works. All right, so if I don't wanna at any time I want to stop my server, all I gotta do is just basically click on it, and it just disposes it, and now this no longer works. If I refresh it, nothing should be there. So it's a good thing to be able to code, and not code, but like see all the HTML you're working with on the browser. So it's pretty cool stuff. All right, I'm trying to go as fast as I can. So there you go, installed, open that up. All right, so where was I? I was in the live server. All right, so the Path Intellisense. Path Intellisense is great. Path Intellisense is what keeps you honest and keeps you from breaking your application. It keeps you from breaking your application by not linking to the right location of a file that you're trying to point at, okay? And this happens a lot with a lot of you guys, I'm sorry. A lot of you guys that tell me, hey, something broke, something not working, I follow your example, but it didn't work. It's because maybe you stored a file in a different location and you're trying to follow my example as if you were in my computer. But if you put it in a different location than I put mine in, then obviously your path to it is going to be different. So just to show you what it means, I'm gonna go to my React over here, only because I got more depth in my files, in my structures here. But let's say, for example, I'm trying to get to title card. Let's say I'm trying to pull up another title card import here, right? I can go ahead and put import title card from, and all that is working. Now watch this. If I go back from my file, it should tell me what is in that location. And at that location, I got a folder called home and media. Okay, maybe I need to go further back. Now I have these files at my disposal. I'm at this level here where I can have access to pages, helpers, components, assets, assets, pages, components, all of those. I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure it's in components. Now I can click in components and click inside, and I was like, oh, here it is, title card. It already knows that I'm looking for that, but it shows me all of the components, and then I can click on that, and now you can see that this is the same as that. So it really does help you find, to go back into the root and see what's behind the file that you're working on, like go up and then find your other way in and then go back in there. All right, so yeah, this Intellisense is a great one. All right, so PHP Intellisense. So PHP is a really tough language for Visual Studio Code, because Visual Studio Code is a client-side IDE code editor, while PHP is backend / some front-end stuff, but it's mostly for backend logic. So there has to be a lot of stuff that has to be installed for PHP to actually work in Visual Studio Code. One of them is PHP Intellisense. That with PHP Intellisense, then you could have access to the code of PHP and still have code highlighting and still show things the way that they in different colors, and have access to what's the right syntax in PHP and things like that. PHP Server is the server, your local host server for PHP. PHP doesn't run on the browser with this go live that I showed you earlier, okay? Because this is a server-side language. You need to have your own local server installed. You need to have PHP installed on your computer, the actual PHP itself, and needs to be initiated, and this needs to have access to that PHP location so that it can run PHP as a local host and then run out your PHP files on the browser. Okay, so if you are going to be developing on PHP, you need this. Prettier Code Formatter. This is what keeps your code clean on the screen. This is what keeps your indentations correctly. This is what keeps my code from being stacked in this way, so that if I hit enter, you notice that it didn't go here to the beginning. It went right under this image tag, and I can put a div tag in there, and when I hit enter, look, it already indented it inside, right? As opposed to if I put it outside, it goes to the beginning, but if I hit enter from here, it goes to the indented part, to there, right? So that's great stuff. That's all Prettier, okay? Prettier is the one that does that. Without this, your files will look like a mess, okay? And that's not a good thing, because you're going to get lost trying to find something, or when anyone does code review on your code, they're not gonna understand what you're doing. So it's always better to be as clean as you can on your code. So this Py stuff here is for Python, and you need this if you're going to be coding in Python. You need to have Python this extensions running so that the Visual Studio Code understands that you're now working with Python. All right, then we have these split HTML attributes. For this works only for Vue, React, and Angular, and it's great because it allows you to do this stack view right there. That sometimes is very helpful, especially if you have like these huge lines of code. So like for example, let's say down here, I know I have to have, okay, so like for example this, right? So this normally comes like this. This normally comes like this. And I find this a little harder to read, okay? So in order to make it stackable, easy to read, I Control-Command-A. That's for Macs. For you guys, I think it's Control-Alt-A. I don't know. Mess around with this Shift-Control-A or something like that. Sorry, not really a Windows guy here. And then I do have to do some cleanup here. Now look at this, Control-D. And you can pick those up at the same time. Okay? And then you can do that here. Oops. Control-Z. There you go. And I'm gonna keep that there just for cleanup purposes. There you go. And then I just indent this a little bit. And this is the way I like it. Okay? Because I had this internal attribute here with this internal property here with this with this interpolation, that's why it caused all that issue. But if that hadn't been there, this would have stacked neatly without having to do all the cleanup that you just saw me do. But in this case I had to, because I had this particular problematic prop in there. But if you don't want it, that's fine. It's not necessary. I don't like showing things like this that it ends up wrapping in a bunch of lines. And I like to have it stacked. It's cleaner, I think. Then you have terminal. So terminal is for running what you see down here. It's your terminal right here. So now I know you can just run a regular terminal like this and run all your code from a terminal, but the problem is now this is another window that I have to go put in another monitor, or that I have to keep there and constantly bring it up to front and back and all that. To me, it's just more of a mess than anything. Okay, I'd rather have it inside my IDE right here, so that if I am coding anything and I'm debugging anything, I can just see it right there. I can just look at it in the same screen, and then I can click on here, and then I can have two of them instead of having two of these, because these are not tabbable. You can have two of these in two windows in the same window here. That, like, you can do tabs on this thing. If you want two of these, you're gonna have to have two of these. You're gonna have to have that. Now that's more mess. So instead of doing this and having all these windows floating around, I can just have them stacked down here, okay? And then I can just basically just close it, open it back up if I want to. I can have this one for running my application, this one to do my install, my plugins installs and GitHub pushes or whatever I have, right? So it's pretty cool stuff. And the last one is the terminal all-in-one, which at some point it was like this, but I don't really like it too much. If you do, then go ahead and use that one. I like this one, this terminal here, a lot better, but it's up to you guys. Okay, so that is pretty much it. That is all I have. If you notice, there is a recommended block here that Visual Studio Code knows what I have and what it knows, the languages that I'm running, but because it's reading my stack over here, and it knows that I have Angular, I have a Docker in there somewhere, I think. I thought I saw Docker in there somewhere. So it kind of like it sees what I'm trying to do, and is suggesting to, hey, maybe you want to use this one, maybe you want that one. It's fine. If you want them, that's okay. If not, it's whatever. But if not, then you can always come over here to the search and search the marketplace for anything you want, and it's very easy to install. Let's say, for example, I want this React Native tools, right? I already have something like that. Let's say React Style Helper. Let's say I want this right here. All I gotta do is just hit install. It would say installing, and after it's done, then I can go ahead and just, if I don't want it anymore, I can just disable it. And it will be installed but not used. I'll have to reload it, but whatever. You get the point. It was just a quick click and done. All right, guys. So that's basically all I had. Let me know if you found any cool ones that you want to share with everyone. Maybe one that I should have. You can recommend it to me. I would love to try out some cool stuff. Okay. So tell me what you got. Tell me what you're running. Tell me what your extensions are. And, I showed you mine. Show me yours. All right, guys. Have a good day.